crafty friends, it's Andrea from Prairie Sky Paper Crafts, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Manitoba. Today we are playing with blends. I've had a few questions lately asking if the type of ink that you stamp in matters. So I've got our Tuxedo black in Memento, and we're also going to be using the basic gray Classic Stampin' Pad. I am not using StazOn for this demonstration because you absolutely cannot combine StazOn with blends. StazOn is a permanent ink, as is the alcohol marker, and if you're just stamping on regular paper with it, it won't work out. StazOn is more for stamping on non-porous surfaces. So glass, tile, acetate, it works really, really well on vellum as well. We are using one of the new celebration sets today as well, the Hippest Hippos. We're doing the girl and the boy. They're going to be dancing together. I'm also going to give you a quick demonstration about what coloring on different kinds of paper looks like. Now, I typically use just the standard basic white for this, but I also have a piece of crumb cake to see if the different paper actually makes a difference. Stampin' Up! Thick also works. The blends do not work at all on watercolor paper. It pulls too much of the color because it's a lot more absorbent. So let's get started with our little hippos here. Now these do come with coordinating dies as well. I'm not using the dies today. But I will in a future video. Now, celebration starts on July the 1st. If you're in Canada and would like more information, by all means, send me a message. I would also be happy to send you out a catalog. They are free for the asking. All right, so I'm going to stamp our girl in gray. So she's going to go here. Now the colors that I'm using are light crumb cake. This one is dark balmy blue, and I've also got the lightest SU1000 in the new, well, not so new anymore. They're a few months old now. Neutrals combo pack. I just about had a craft a lunch there. Okay, and then there's our boy. He's going to get stamped in Memento. Okay, I'm not sure exactly how close I'm going to get his hand to her hand. Not bad. Okay, so we've got basic gray and Memento. So when I'm coloring, I like to do circles. I also generally prefer the smaller end, unless I'm doing a really large area, just because I find it gives a little bit more control. Now, one of the things that you do want to keep in mind when you're coloring with the blends is not to get too close to the edge, because the color does pull out a little bit. And the more you go over, the darker the color will get. And we'll do the inside of her ear with this, and we'll do her nails. Okay, so there's been no ink picked up on my blend. Now we're going to do over the Memento. And see if there's a difference. Now, it can take a few seconds for the ink to dry. It is pretty quick drying. I've heard tips and ideas too, because it does bleed through to the other side as well. I've heard tips that you can put a paper towel or another absorbent cloth behind, and it won't absorb quite as much. So let's just keep going over. Oh, I forgot to do his nails. And we'll do the inside of his ears. I'm not sure why I decided that this one is a boy, but it is. Okay, now we're going to go over both of the hippos with the crumb cake. Blends are really, really great at combining, and the colors look really awesome when you build up layers with different colors. I always start with the lightest color and then build into the darkest, and then I go back over with the darkest or with the lightest color just to blend everything out. I know hippos are gray, but these guys just needed to be brown today. My daughter was so excited to see this set. She is completely hippo obsessed, has been since she was an itty bitty. Okay, now I'm going to go over the belly just to bring in that color a little bit, make it a little bit of a different shade than the rest of her body. And then her leg. Oh, that's her belly there too. I should go over that. Be careful not to do his face. Now with Memento, if you wanted to, you could absolutely stamp over this several times by using your Stamparatus, and each time you do it, you'll get a darker impression. Okay, so I'm going to leave that open because I'm going to use it right away. When you go to open up your markers, it will have a snug fitting cap. When you close it, you want to hear that click to make sure that it is a really tight seal. Because they're alcohol, they can dry out, and you definitely don't want that. Okay, now we're just going to do her, her slippers. And her tutu. So again, close to the edge, but not going right over it. Oh, these guys are so stinking cute. Now, they are free in Canada during celebration. So from the beginning of July to the end of August, with a $60 purchase, and the dies, and that's before tax and shipping, and the dies are the same price as well, $60 pre-tax. Okay, so we've got our hippos done. We're just going to do a scribble test as well. I'm just going to pick a sentiment, because sometimes, you know, you want to put a sentiment over or color a sentiment. I like doing little bursts of color occasionally, not all the time. And this is just to show you how the two are going to react. So we've got Memento. And then I'm just going to stamp it off to clean it up. Now both of these can be cleaned by stamping off until there's no ink left. You can use your Stampin' Scrub, you can use your chamois, and even just running water works as well. All right, and then we've got our gray. What's a little bit of stamping without getting ink on your fingers? I don't think I've ever made a craft without getting inky somewhere. Okay, I'm just going to give this a quick little blast of the heat gun. Oh, or not. There we go. Let's do crumb cake. So I'm going to use the brush tip for this one, and I'm just going to go over it same direction. I'm not going back and forth. I'm just going straight across, and then we'll see how the ink reacts. And then just scribble off to the side just to get any extra ink off. All right, so we've got our Memento and we've got our basic gray. With the Memento, you can see that even after it's dried, it's still a really nice, crisp, clean finish. With our Classic Stampin' Pad, it's still okay, but it's not nearly as crisp as it was when we started. So you can use it depending on the look that you're going for your card. You can absolutely use the Stampin' or the Classic Stampin' Pad. I usually tend to go for Memento. I think the only time that I've ever used the Classic is if I'm doing something like a floral bouquet or something where I'm stamping the same color and then coloring it in a very similar color, because then a little bit of pulling and bleeding doesn't really matter as much. But you can see, excuse me, that it does pull through to the other side. Now we're going to do the same. We're going to do our boy again in Memento, but this time we're going to stamp it on crumb cake and see if using a different paper yields a different result. Okay, so again, we're going to use our lightest neutral. Now the color will be different on this paper just because it's darker. Oh, I thought I had some Stampin' or basic white thick, but I didn't. So we're not able to test that one at the moment. Okay, so this, excuse me, this is holding fairly true to the line as well. It's a very brown looking hippo. It is pulling through to the back, just like the white does. Actually, he's kind of cute on the crumb cake too. Okay, so a little bit darker. I'm not noticing any visible pulling. Let's do a streak of, what is this? Dark old olive. And we'll do a streak. Actually, we'll do a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just noticed that the tip of this one is a little bit wonky. Okay, so it doesn't look like it's pulling out anymore on either piece of paper. The bleed through is a little bit less on this one, but it could have been a pressure thing too. I might not have been putting quite as much pressure as I did when I did the first streak, but there you go. So for best results, you will want to use your Memento ink because it does result in a crisper, more clean finish. In a pinch, you can use the Classic Stampin' Pad. The more you go over it, it looks like the more it pulls. So yeah, in a pinch, it'll work. For best results, use the Memento. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you again really soon.